Good evening, everyone, and thank you for joining us. I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Board of Selectmen for April 26th, 2012. And our agenda this evening will be public hearings with petitions from National Grid. Also, we're going to appoint a new lieutenant and sergeant for the police department. We're also going to talk about grant agreements between the Board of Selectmen and the Hingham Community Access and Media Incorporated, and then maybe some appointments. So with that, our first order of business is to conduct a public hearing for a grant of location of the petition of National Grid to install and maintain gas mains as follows. Approximately 2,200 feet in Hull Street. So why don't we do that one first? For the record, if you could identify yourselves and your position.
My name is Dennis Regan, and I'm the permit representative from National Grid.
Good evening.
Good evening, Peter Nagel, Customer and Community Management, National Grid.
Okay, very good. Welcome. And Mr. Regan, whenever you're ready, if you look to start.
Did you say East Street? Was that the first one we're doing here?
Yes.
East Street, yep. Yes, East Street.
Okay. Tonight, National Grid respectfully requests your consent to install and maintain approximately 2,275 feet, more or less, of 4-inch gas main in East Street, Hingham, from the existing 6-inch gas main at Hull Street easterly to the existing 6-inch gas main at North Main Street, all of which to replace and abandon the existing 4-inch main in East Street.
Very good. Thank you. Selectman Burns.
I am trying to find the East Street map. Do we have one?
We do. It should be behind your,
At the end of,
Oh, here it is. Yep, no, here it is. Sorry. So that I understand what chunk we're talking about. Oh, and it goes on and on. Right? This is also, yeah, okay. Okay, and the Department of Public Works all set with the arrangements with National Grid?
here from Department of Public Works.
Yeah, Harry Sylvester, Public Works. Yeah, we were kind of anxious to get this gas main replaced in that section of East Street. As you well know, that's on our construction schedule. It has been deferred for 1 year to allow Aquarian to replace their water main in that section of road next year. So we're anxious to get going.
You also,
So I'm sorry, did you say Aquarian is going to?
Yeah, they've
or
promised
has?
to replace or upgrade their water main in that section of East Street next construction season, so the road construction won't start till
For 2
they're
years?
complete. We might be able to get in there next year, we're hoping.
After Aquarian gets done?
That's correct.
Okay. And we have an agreement with National Grid about everything that all the details about how this is going to be done?
Yes, we do.
Good, okay, great. You're having a great winter over there on Main Street, aren't you? That is amazing, how it's all done. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to get off East Street, but I just, it's all done. and-
Any kudos are well accepted, thank you.
Yes, it's just went boom, 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 and the weather cooperated, but you guys were really doing it as fast as you could. I know, because I walk there every day, and so I saw the progress. Do you have an idea when you do the final coat?
That, they've given us the funds for the repaving and the.
Oh, so that will go in with your
Yeah.
schedule?
National Grid will come in and, grind out the existing trench that they put in during the winter where the gas pipe is, and then we'll repave it. And then once that's complete, then we'll come in and resurface it.
Okay, so that's just gonna get slid into your schedule sometime?
Yes, yep.
Okay, thank you, that's all.
Mr. Rebuffo?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Harry knows to stay where he is, that's good. So this was in accordance with the schedule that we had put out, our 5-year plan that lays out that if you're going to do some work, let's see if we can coordinate this as we set up a year ago.
Yes, it most certainly is.
That's good, that's good. So that works to both of our benefits because it saves money in the long run and therefore saves the ratepayers.
I might want to add, before we go on, regarding to that schedule, National Grid was kind enough to alter their schedule a little bit to replace the next proposal on Water Street ahead of their schedule to accommodate our construction schedule on that section of town.
Okay. and
Great, so it's working.
It's working. That's what we hoped. That's great. And then the second question is this area, is this because of age or service issues?
This is bare steel replacement.
Okay.
Okay, when this
Putting-
was installed,
oh.
there was no cathodic protection, so the plastic will go in now, and the endless life to the plastic.
Oh, okay. So that means we need to do it. And the
It is
start.
84 years old.
Oh, not quite as
You better
old
do
as,
it.
not quite as old as me, but, and the start date, so the folks can anticipate, do you have a
As soon
date?
as possible, if we're able to get the grant tonight, and Mr. Sylvester will dictate the time and hours and.
Good, okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, all set.
My only question is, to Laura's point, you are in agreement with all the requirements of the Department of Public Works?
Yes, we are.
Okay, very good. Okay, so if somebody, would anybody out there in the audience like to ask a question or make a comment before we go? Sure. You have to come to the microphone. I'm sorry, you have to come to the microphone so the people at home can hear you.
Peter Buckles, 11 Green Street. I just had a question. Would there be closures
On East Street?
on Green Street?
On Green Street, that may be, that will be determined on.
And it will be coordinated?
Well, that's going to be our next hearing on
Okay.
on
I
Water
thought I was
Street.
jumping in.
Well, we'd like to try to keep
Okay.
them separated, if we could. So is there anybody else out there like to ask a question regarding East Street at this point? Okay. So if somebody would like to make a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the request from National Grid for a grant of location to install and maintain approximately 2,275 feet, more or less, of a 4-inch gas main in East Street from the existing 6-inch gas main at Hull Street easterly to the existing 6-inch gas main at North Main Street, all of which is to replace the 4-inch gas main in East Street. This approval is subject to the stipulations of the Department of Public Works, including a letter dated March 22nd, 2012.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Our next hearing is consideration of approximately 55 feet of gas main in Water Street.
National Grid respectfully requests your consent to install and maintain approximately 555 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Water Street, from the existing 6-inch gas main at Summer Street southerly to the end of the main at house number 55. Approximately 375 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Green Street, from the proposed 2-inch gas main in Water Street easterly to the existing 2-inch gas main at house number 8, Eldridge Court. And approximately 130 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Eldridge Court from the existing 2-inch gas main at house number 9 easterly to the existing 2-inch gas main at house number 14, all of which to replace and abandon the existing 1.5-inch and 2-inch gas mains in Water Street, Green Street, and Eldridge Court, Hingham.
All set? Okay, Selectman Burns.
Well, thank you very much for working with our DPW on this. It just makes life so much easier, so thank you, I appreciate it very much.
Mr. Rebuffo?
Yes, thank you. I see on the drawings that you put forth, it's just a question. You're replacing pipe that's under a railroad track, as I see here, and with plastic pipe. And I assume the quality or the strength of the plastic pipe will withstand the pressures that come from.
If there's any question at all, a steel sleeve will be installed if needed, and that would go down and under, and that would protect, if our foreman feels necessary.
Okay. Do you want to?
That portion of the gas main's already been replaced
Oh,
before the train track went down. They're going to go on either side of that replacement. I'm not sure if you see the dotted line is the proposed.
Yep, there, the sleeve, yeah.
Under the bottom, it says it's a 4-inch sleeve there.
There's a 4-inch sleeve already in place.
So it's a steel casing sleeve. Okay.
Exactly, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
That's it? And, that's it, Mr.
Yep, I am, thank you.
And the same question, you're all set with the requirements of the Department of Public Works?
Yes.
Again, this is in anticipation of a town project, I believe, so we're looking to move that up a little bit to accommodate the town's needs as well.
Okay, so, Harry, can you give us a sense of when that is going to be?
We're hoping to, get that project started at some point in May. I believe the East Street project will be going first, and then they'll subsequently go right into Water Street. It's my understanding by discussing the work schedule with the supervisor. And hopefully that can be completed, and road construction will depend on, when that gets done. If it's too close to the 4th of July, we'll be waiting for road construction after that point.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, now, is there anybody out in the audience like to ask a question, make a comment? To the microphone, if you would, sir.
Peter Buckles, 11 Green Street. Again, I was just wondering about closures on the Water Street end of Green Street, if that was anticipated, and just to touch base a little bit on what's going to be the reconstruction end of Green Street for repaving, sidewalk, curb, et cetera.
As far as road closures go, concerning the gas main work, they'll be taken upon on a day-to-day basis in coordination with the police department. If we can maintain one line of traffic at all times, that would be the desired remedy. If we could use plates to block plate the trench to get vehicles in and out. If there was closures, it would only be for a short period of time. Emergency traffic will have access at all times, getting into Eldridge Court and down Green Street. As far as the road construction schedule goes, like I say, if we don't have enough time once the gas main is in, the road reconstruction schedule will start after the 4th of July. We intend on grinding up the road of Water Street up to the paving joint roughly near Station Street. All of Green Street out towards the Rotary will be ground up. The curbing will be reset or replaced as needed. The sidewalk will be reconstructed. And Eldridge Court, right now, we have it down for a repaving and resurfacing portion of the project.
Okay, Harry, if there are going to be closures, are the residents going to be made aware of that prior to the closings? If they realize that they're going to close Green Street in 2 days because of the size of the equipment that they need and all, and that they may have to close the road, will there be somebody to provide a handout or a notice to the neighbors?
Yeah, overall, the communication with National Grid and their subcontractors has been, extremely good. There's been a couple of times where they didn't communicate as well as they should have, but I anticipate communication to be at a top peak throughout the area, including all the businesses and the residents alike.
Because that Green Street is narrow and there's cars parked there on the most part, so how will they deal with that as well?
Well, they'll be giving notices out where they're going to be, working in a certain area of the road. On-street parking would be very limited. I'm sure they'll be warned, and we'll encourage them to warn the residents when they'll be approaching those residences so that they could have their cars parked in another location while they're working.
Okay, so for the most part, it's going to be National Grid's responsibility to serve those notices?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
Mr. Chairman, if I may, and Harry, how long would you estimate does it take to do this particular work? I assume you do it in stages, and...
Well, they have to make a connection out into 3A for the Water Street project. I think that will probably be, 2 or 3 days at best, so that's going to occupy a substantial amount of time. But I would think within, 2.5 to 3 weeks, the bulk of the main work would be complete down in that area.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah.
Okay, sir?
My name is Gregory Sullivan. I'm an attorney. I represent the Water Street Condominium Unit Owners Association. Mr. Regan had said the work would terminate in front of the house at 55 Water Street. That's actually a business there, absolutely fit Training Center. I also represent Bear Cove Management, which owns and operates Bear Cove Cafe and Catering at the corner of Water and Green Streets. And I obviously have extreme concerns about what consideration the gas company and the town is taking into account with respect to accommodating the business for this street to be closed at the corner of Green and Water at all in May or June is catastrophic for these businesses, particularly the cafe and catering. So I'm wondering what accommodations have been thought about in terms of hours of work or not closing the road, certainly keeping at least one lane open, and as he said, vehicular traffic being able to access the business hopefully at all times. We have catering trucks going in and out the Green Street side of Bear Cove Cafe on a daily basis. So obviously I'd like to work with the gas company, but would like to get a lot more information about the hours of the work and the scope, and I had never envisioned that it would be weeks to do this work.
If
Hoping that's not the case.
if the Green Street entrance is blocked, can you use your Water Street entrance as a means for access to your catering trucks?
If one end of Green Street is blocked off, obviously we can go in and out the other end. I'm actually more concerned about the patrons, particularly at lunchtime, coming in and out to pick up sandwiches and
Having it
meals.
closed at Green and Water,
Green
that's
and
what you're
Water,
concerned about?
the
Yes.
intersection where the cafe is.
Right.
Okay.
Obviously.
Okay. So, gentlemen?
A couple of things. To address the first issue, we will have police details at all times. The plan, obviously, is never to close. However, safety does trump anything else. There would be pedestrian access at all times and emergency vehicle access at all times.
About doing the work at night.
I drove through there, and I do believe there's some residential in there. When I say in there, pardon my, if you came past the cafe, the street on the left up toward Eldridge Court, that's a
Oh, it's all residential up there. for
predominantly
sure.
residential
I-
area,
I
so.
guess what I particularly mean is the work right at the corner of Green and Water, at that critical intersection. Wondering if that work right there could be done either, early in the morning, and there are no residences at that end of Green Street. It's the Fruit Center parking lot on one side, Bear Cove at the other.
The Bear Cove being the red building on the corner there, sir?
Correct.
Correct.
What time does that business open?
6. But it's the lunchtime
The lunchtime thing.
business that we're most concerned about.
So if they could make a commitment to have the street not closed between, say, 11 and 2, and either do something else, or, I mean, I understand that you're trying not to close at all, right?
Right, and obviously that'll be the call ultimately of the police detail and such. In terms of closing down from 11 to 2, that would likely prolong the project by twofold, if not threefold, in front of the deli.
Well, I was more suggesting making sure that you don't have to completely close the street, but at least have one lane and the detail going back and forth.
I see.
Try to make an effort to be sure to have that, at least that going on between 11 and 2. Would that meet your needs?
So have the intermittent one-lane traffic?
Yeah, at least.
Well, and if you're not doing work right there between 11 and 3, you could be doing work perhaps up on Green Street at that time.
But it's a concurrent project, sir, where we're laying specific amounts of pipe in the trench. So it really is a ABC as opposed to AEFBC. I know that,
I know the digging is significant. The laying of the plastic pipe is pretty quick, I'm sure.
Correct.
What if you were to entertain the idea of digging in the morning and then steel plating, putting steel plates down for the access of the business, and then come back after the hour that would not be too big of a impact, lift the plates, put the pipe in, and have to put the plates back on top until the following morning? I mean, there are ways to do this without interrupting his business.
Right. But similarly, I'd have a concern that would be in front of the business far longer as well, if that were the case.
Well, how much longer?
Again, if we're, more than likely, if we were to dig until 10, with the realization that we would be getting on site at 7, getting machinery ready, starting to operate around 7:30, with the anticipation of getting plates out there probably by 10:30 or so, you're looking at a fairly short window of excavation. And I would hazard a guess that there's quite a bit of underground infrastructure in that general area, just because of the nature of the square itself.
So you would be losing, if I hear you right, you're going to lose a considerable amount of time, half the time. That's why you say that 2 or 3 times longer.
I would think we would be losing probably upwards of 2/3 of the time, sir.
Yeah, I recognize the...
Yeah, Mr. Fernandez?
Good evening, Roger Fernandez, Projects Engineer, Town of Hingham. I think we all know that that there's an inherent interruption as a result of the work, but what we've done successfully in the past, we've done in the square, is we've met with the business owners, meet with this gentleman, meet with National Grid, and in lieu of trying to determine a lot of the logistics involved around whether or not, I know there's a vote pending as well, but we've usually had success in being able to sort of accommodate everybody.
Sit down and talk about it.
And let's talk about it. And if it means signage, reserving parking in the Station Street parking lot dedicated for your business or your businesses, let's see if we can come up with some sort of remedy that, or at least an acceptable solution for the time being. And we'll work closely with National Grid to see if there's a way to schedule the work such that it minimizes. I understand their position is very difficult to commit to a 4-hour window in the middle of a work week, but there's probably something we can do. We've done it in the past.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
That is what I was asking for, was communication and cooperation between the town and the gas company.
You have that full pledge, sir.
We can definitely do that. Should we continue the hearing until we see how this comes out and make sure everybody's satisfied, or should we?
Mr. Sylvester?
I understand all the concerns that have been raised here, especially through Mr. Sullivan's building and businesses. The contractors have always had plates available. We're only dealing with maybe 80 to 100 feet maximum a day, and we could probably clear that building block within 2 days with that gas main installation. There may be some limited parking in certain areas in front of his building at times when the construction's actually taking place. The plates will be used to gain access with vehicles as well as pedestrians. The details will be able to usher, customers as well as people that work there in and out safely. There's additional parking across the street if we lose 2 or 3 spots. I don't anticipate much more than that in front of those businesses, including the Bear Cove eatery there. So I think that this isn't something that we haven't had to do before. And I think we'll be able to get through there with little interruption and little inconvenience as possible.
Okay, well, Mr. Sullivan, these are your businesses that are going to be affected. So how would you like this vote be seen from your eyes? Would you like to, let us put the vote off till another evening and give you time to negotiate something on your
Yeah, my
behalf?
understanding was they're gonna commence the East Street work first anyway. So, yeah, if we could have a week to sit down and try to arrange things that we all think are reasonable, I'd appreciate that opportunity.
Town administrator has
You don't have a meeting scheduled for next week.
next week. We have a meeting scheduled for the week after.
we
I don't know
have,
if that changes.
How does that impact their schedule? I heard they were going to start beginning of May.
On East Street.
East Street would be May, and then they'd be moving from East Street to Water Street, so it shouldn't have a large impact.
Well, how long will it take to work out this detail? I mean, we have a meeting, I understand, 6:30 Monday.
Today's-
So, if And then we don't meet again until the 10th.
Although I'm
Tentatively
hoping to
move that.
change that meeting, so, I mean, maybe we could make it Tuesday or something, I don't know.
You know.
Well, we,
Because it'll be, we can,
Shouldn't be a
we
long
just
issue.
need two of us, that's,
you could take it up on Monday, at 6:30.
But you're looking like you can't,
This
don't have
Monday,
time
if
to
that's
work it
what
out.
we- No, I'm out of state tomorrow, so.
Okay, so
That's not gonna work.
that's not going to
Okay.
work. Well, then it's May 10th under the current schedule.
That's fine. I'm not looking to hold up anything. I know this work needs to be done, but I would like to have some input. I did call Mr. Regan earlier, and I appreciate the spirit of what they're saying, but from talking to other business owners in similar situations, I'd like to get some concrete commitments.
Okay, well, we have,
Mr. Fernandez?
the other half of the Batman and Robin team is,
Sure. We regularly put into our provisions conditions upon the work taking place. So the selectmen regularly vote contingent upon satisfying the Department of Public Works. If you wanted to make your vote contingent upon satisfying the town administrator's understanding that an agreement has been reached, that's an option, and work won't take place until you satisfy the town administrator or whomever, or one of the selectmen, whomever you decide, whoever's here.
Actually, thank you, Roger. That actually might give you a little more flexibility if we can't schedule a meeting, and I don't want to hold up these folks if they have an arrangement in place.
so we're just,
Sound reasonable to you?
so contingent
Very
on,
good.
All right, well, in that case,
we have
well, is
to-
there anything
I
else?
can just be clear on the wording of.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ms. Burns will make the...
Make it up as I go
There she
along.
goes. She does such a good job.
I'll move to approve the request of National Grid for a grant of location to install and maintain approximately 555 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Water Street from the existing 6-inch gas main at Summer Street southerly to the end of the main at 55, approximately 375 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Green Street from the proposed 2-inch gas main at Water Street easterly to the existing 2-inch gas main in House 6 Eldridge Court, and approximately 130 feet, more or less, of 2-inch gas main in Eldridge Court from the existing 2-inch gas main at house number 9 easterly to the existing 2-inch gas main at house number 14, all of which to replace the existing 1.5-inch and 2-inch gas mains in Water Street, Green Street, and Eldridge Court. This approval is subject to the stipulations of the Department of Public Works, including the letter dated April 10th, 2012, and also to the report of the town administrator that a satisfactory agreement has been reached between the representatives of the Water Street businesses and National Grid and the DPW.
Sound reasonable to you?
okay, I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you all.
Okay, we do have one more agenda item that includes the National Grid. You gonna stay around for the discussion?
Sure. Gas line replacement cost sharing?
Okay, well,
We take it up right now.
Mr. Fernandez, would you like to join
Yeah,
us?
we're gonna have Roger and Harry come up here so we can just take a seat. Oh, in the audience, in the audience. Gotta get him, he's gonna present. We just want you to hear it.
Okay. If you could identify yourselves for the record once again and give us a overview of what you're suggesting here.
Sure. Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening. My name is Roger Fernandez, Town of Hingham Projects Engineer, and I'm accompanied by Harry Sylvester, Assistant Town of Hingham Projects Engineer. And I come before you to give you an update on both the, I think, the relations we're having with National Grid, which is going to be a positive report, and a process by which we entered into with National Grid that offers a cost-sharing approach to the work that they're performing. As you may recall, about 2 years ago, to be perfectly candid, we were in some pretty contentious agreements, I should say deliberations with National Grid. At that point, those discussions revolved around our ability to work with them in the sense that we wanted them to replace their aging infrastructure in harmony with our road reconstruction. I wanted to report to you that it's gotten a lot better. It's actually been very good. National Grid has worked very cooperatively with us, and as you witnessed here today, They've actually modified their schedule and increased their infrastructure replacement schedule in terms of actual amounts in the town of Hingham to, again, accommodate our 5-year road building plan. So it was, in the end, it all worked out very well. As a matter of fact, in 2011, National Grid replaced 20,000 lineal, almost 21,000 lineal feet of gas main in the town of Hingham, and that is an all-time high. As Mr. Buffalo can attest, that came with a certain amount of work and a number of meetings with their attorneys and with their engineers and logistic folks. In addition to that,
Well, let me stop you there.
Sure.
Is there anything you'd like to ask, Mr. Buffalo?
No,
Lynn?
listen, when people praise me, I don't correct.
You want to opine on anything, Selectman Vince, on that part of it? Of the relationship getting better?
Oh, well, thank you, Mr. Regan, for helping us put this back together, and thank you. It's great.
so it's gotten better.
No questions.
Okay. Cost sharing.
Cost sharing. So also as a result of those meetings and that a cooperative approach to their infrastructure replacement and our road construction, we were able to enter into a cost sharing approach, which means on roads similar to the ones you heard about today, where we know we're going to reconstruct the road and they need to replace gas mains, what had happened previously or prior is they would go in and they would replace their gas main, patch the road in a way that would be reflected as a more permanent patch, which was a more expensive sort of endeavor, and we would then come in and rip up the road. Didn't make a lot of sense at the time, and I don't know that it ever made sense. So I think we took an approach that's unique to Hingham, based on what National Grid's told us, and in lieu of that, National Grid now approaches roads that we intend on reconstruction on a more temporary patch, sort of approach. It's less expensive to them, and that delta, the difference between what they would have done and what they're now doing, since we're going to reconstruct the road anyway, they then contribute to the town, monetarily, money-wise. So to date, we've received from them $35,000, almost $36,000 that we've never received before. The money that we're receiving, these are not fees or these are not costs that they will then externalize to the end user. These don't come up in DPU rate cases. These are things that they would have spent anyway, that then we're able to use for our own purposes as another revenue source. So all in all, a good thing. Just and I'll leave it at that. I don't know if there's anything else you want to add, Harry. Yeah. Okay.
Mr. Buffalo?
No, thank you. I mean, as we said earlier, we appreciate the work that National Grid has done, and the fact that almost 20,594 feet of road was replaced, and there's a benefit to both of us that this gets done that way, and we very much see that there's cost savings that we realize, and more importantly, that they realize. So that was the intent. Thank you for working out the details collaboratively. That's great.
Selectman Bruns?
Thank you.
Okay, I don't really have much to add, other than I also want to congratulate the gas company for being a partner with the town to try to help improve the community in such a way that it benefits all of us, and including yourselves. So if that's all, gentlemen,
Thank you very much.
thank you very much for coming in,
Thank you. Thanks.
and keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, I'm going to jump ahead of here a little bit, and we have a vote
Let me just
to...
make this motion.
Yeah, do we need to have Jean
We
come
asked
up to...
Gene to come on up.
Yeah, Jean, why don't you join us at the head table here?
Okay, we do have a memo on it. Here's the agreement, last thing in the packet.
Be so kind to
To,
share it with the public here, folks at home.
yes, well, as most people know, the town meeting voted earlier this week to changed the position of treasurer-collector for the town from an elected to appointed position. It still depends on a positive vote at the ballot on Saturday. But it is, the last thing that we want to do through this process is lose our treasurer-collector. So we have worked up an agreement between ourselves and our treasurer-collector, whose leadership has been stellar and whose office is a model of efficiency and effectiveness. And this will allow her to continue in her position if the position is changed to an appointed position for 3 years. And it's a little complicated how it works, whether she resigns from the elected position or maybe you can clarify that part, because I don't really get that part. But my point is that we will be providing the treasurer collector in her new position with all the same benefits as a regular town employee, and that is the crucial part of this.
So the agreement, which is a transition agreement, not an employment agreement, what it does is it allows Jean to have the opportunity to decide on her own whether she's going to finish out her elected term pursuant to the statute, or if she resigns her elected term before, subsequent to the vote, of course, then this agreement would take effect. So it leaves that option, as we decided. The board felt that it was important that that option still be with you as the elected official, and because that's what the statute allows for. And then it also recognizes what that her compensation is per the personnel board and the personnel bylaw, and that it recognizes from a fringe benefit, sick leave, vacation, etc. Jean is technically not eligible for some of those fringe benefits because she's an elected official, and she'll be moving back to an employee relationship with the town, and we wanted to make sure that all her service time was accounted for properly so that she wasn't shortchanged. I think it's a fair agreement that reflects her great years of service.
Well, Jean, is there something you'd like to say or share with us with respect to this agreement?
I just want to say thank you for preparing it, and I think it's great, it's very reasonable. And I appreciate that the board is doing everything possible to make it a seamless transition should the ballot vote come back on Saturday and reaffirm that the position is going from elected to appointed. I think this sets things so that it would be a seamless transition. And I appreciate that it does. It pretty much sets me back to where I was in 2005. Actually, 2007, I think, was my first elected term. I was originally appointed as treasurer-collector for 2 years, and once I became elected, the benefits that I had accrued for the past 22 years had been set aside and taken off the books, and this resets me, so I appreciate that personally. But more importantly, I appreciate that you have taken the time to set into motion a process that will create a seamless transition should this take place on Saturday. And I appreciate that from the Treasurer-Collectors Department.
And it was voted in an overwhelmingly way that,
At the town meeting.
yeah, for approval, so I would think that you'd have no problem Saturday.
I have, from the very beginning, I have recognized that this is a policy decision of the town, and so I have let the taxpayers and the policymakers of the town do their job. And whatever way it comes out, I'm very, very pleased to be able to continue in the position. And I appreciate the confidence that you've shown me here and the respect for my department and the transition. And thank you.
You always say you put the right people in the right position, you get the right results. So. Mr. Rebuffo.
Oh, no, I echo the Jean's comments, but I'd also would like to thank the town meeting for its confidence in Jean, and the Government Study Committee for bringing this forward with our endorsement. So I think this is a good day, and I'm trusting that 8:01 p.m. on Saturday, this will all be in effect, so if the town supports it. So thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Jean.
Thanks, Ted.
Anything else you'd like to?
I'll move to sign a transition agreement between the town of Hingham and the treasurer-collector, Jean Montgomery, as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, thank you very much.
Okay,
All right.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, next on the agenda is the appointments for the police department with respect to the lieutenant and sergeant's positions. So, I see we have our chief with us. Would you like to join us up here, chief?
Like you just came from patrol.
Good evening. And,
Good evening.
I submitted to you my recommendations, and so I'm all ears.
Okay. Would you like to say anything, or
No, I think
make a
I'd...
comment, anything before we take the
I
vote,
always have to
Mr.?
make a comment.
Yeah.
No, I think the candidates, as I told the chief privately, the candidates that were put forth are excellent, and the credit to the development of your, and leadership of the department. So I am anxious to get these done, because it helps the town and it helps the department move forward as the chief has intended. So I'm all done. Yeah.
Selectman Burns, anything you'd like to make comment on? Or?
Just to mention for the people at home that we have but one decision to make here tonight. There are 2 lieutenant positions to be filled, and we have 2 candidates. And we are also accepting a transfer of a patrolman and a reinstatement of a previous patrolman who has returned to work for the town, all of these having the chief's recommendation. And for full-time sergeant, we had 2 candidates in 1 position. And I must say, I hesitated because what a hard decision, and what an excellent batch of candidates that we have. And it's just great to have this opportunity, I think, not just for us to meet the candidates for these upper positions, but also for people at home to hear a little bit about who their police officers are, and who the sergeants are, and who the lieutenants are, and get a chance to appreciate, as we do, what a great collection of talent that we have in the police department. So I am regretful that we didn't have 2 sergeant openings to fill, but we had but 1. And I think I will be supporting the chief's choice. I think it's a good choice.
I'll only echo my colleagues' comments. So with that, would
Make a
somebody
motion?
like to make a motion?
Sure. I'll make a motion that we appoint David P. Jones as a permanent full-time lieutenant in the Hingham Police Department, effective April 30th. That we appoint Corey M. Farina, a full-time lieutenant in the Hingham Police Department, effective April 30th. That we appoint Ryan P. O'Shea as a full-time sergeant in the Hingham Police Department, effective April 30th. That we approve the lateral transfer of Matthew J. Lucas as a permanent full-time patrolman in the Hingham Police Department, pending approval of the town of Hull. And that we reinstate Matthew J. McKenna as a permanent full-time patrolman in the Hingham Police Department, effective May 7th, 2012.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
If I could just address the board, and I just wanted to publicly commend provisional lieutenants Darren McAdams and David Hort, and temporary sergeant Tom Ford. These 3 men have, filled in for us the last 10 months, and really helped the department and showed their leadership during the past 10 months. And I just want to publicly acknowledge them, because they did an outstanding job.
Thank you.
Very good.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, chief.
All right, thank you.
Okay, thank you for coming in.
Okay.
Okay, next on the agenda is to discuss a supplemental grant agreement between the Board of Selectmen and the Hingham Community Access and Media Incorporated. So who would like to join us at the table?
I wore my uniform.
That's good.
Oh, where can I get one of those? Is it a fundraiser?
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah, you should do that.
Jim Dell at 4 Puritan Road, representing HCAM.
Sandra Peavy, 204 Linden Ponds Way, for the Cable Committee, Chair of the Cable Committee. And we actually have a few more things on the agenda in addition to the very important transfer to HCAM of the government channel, but we'll get to those after we do the transfer, with your permission.
Sure.
The town has been operating the government channel for the last couple of years with, under the very capable direction of a town IT employee, Kate Richardson, who has had to take time away from her IT responsibilities to do this. And as the government channel has been expanding and additional committees have been wanting to be televised, this has been eating into her town responsibilities. And from the beginning, we envisioned that once HCAM was up and running and had an executive director and was able to take over the government channel, that there would be this transition. And so now is the time. HCAM is ready, and the committee is more than satisfied that HCAM is able and will do an excellent job of this, and it will enable much more robust programming to be put on the government channel. HCAM will have people who can do public service announcements. We did manage to put one together with the government running this, but with HCAM's facilities and HCAM's very fine staff, we'll be able to see more of that, and they have some wonderful ideas about programming that will provide the town with a lot of information about how the various town departments operate, and I'm looking forward, even though I can't see it because I live at Linden Ponds, I'm very much looking forward to.
But are we not shipping you all the DVDs now? I mean,
We're going to, yes.
HCAM
yes.
can do that, right? You can.
Yeah,
you can,
that, we can do that,
things you'll
and
do.
Linden Ponds has been shipping some DVDs to Hingham. It's not the best way of doing it, but at least it's allowing this part of Hingham.
Surely there is some
Yeah, we're getting the selectmen's meetings
some
now.
cloud way of doing this that doesn't involve carrying DVDs from,
We'll
from one
figure it out.
end of town to the other.
So we have prepared, at the request of the town administrator, a supplemental agreement. As you will recall, there's a master grant agreement between the town and HCAM that covers the money that's given to HCAM and how they handle it and the reports they make back to the town and what their responsibilities are for the public access programming and the public access channel. And this does not change that in any way. This supplements it, provides additional money to HCAM so that they will have the money to operate the government channel, and provides a list of the services that they will be providing and a list of the types of programming which the selectmen are approving when they approve this agreement for HCAM to put on the government channel. And there's a provision in the agreement that if HCAM recommends or suggests that there should be anything that's not enumerated here, they will come back to the selectmen for permission to put any additional programming that we have not thought of yet that HCAM may sometime in the future think of as appropriate for that channel. So it's a fairly simple agreement. It would provide that 15% additional money. Presently, HCAM gets 70% of the operating funds that quarterly are provided to the town by Verizon and Comcast. We have been reserving 30% to operate the government and the educational channel, and 15% would now, in addition, go to HCAM. That would leave remaining 15% for the operation of the educational channel. And the committee has looked at the finances, and we're satisfied that the 15% remaining will be adequate to take care of the educational channel without any problems. The capital has already been given to HCAM, and there is some additional capital that's coming in to the town from Verizon over the next few years, $40,000 for 3 years and then $20,000. And that the town is retaining and will, part of it we're recommending in the third item here. Well, the second and third items be spent both on the government channel, capital, and the educational channel. But there is the opportunity, if that's not needed for those two channels, for HCAM to come back to the selectmen and say, we'd like to buy X, and we'd like some of that money. So that may be coming in the future, but at the moment, this is where we're at. The town will still be getting some of this capital funds, which will be held for future needs. Are there any questions from the selectmen about this?
Mr. Rebuffo.
Thank you, Sandy, thank you. We appreciate, this is a startup, if you will, and we haven't had too many hiccups, so that's a good sign. For the benefit of the folks at home who are not as familiar with this, we had asked that we'd take some of the capital money to wire the rooms here in Town Hall.
And we did that.
And we've done that. So how many rooms are wired, so for the benefit of all our committee chairs?
I think just about all of them are wired. Even the third floor south room is wired, as I understand it.
The East Room, yeah.
And
The East Room, yeah.
yes, everything, and
Everything's wired. We do not yet have camera capability in the school committee room, which is coming up.
I understand, I read that, that's in here, but the others will have camera capability?
We have a portable unit called an Anycast, and we can use the Anycast to plug in where we do not have robotic cameras. The
Okay.
large meeting room on the second floor has robotics.
Okay.
All the other rooms have the capability of just hooking up to our Anycast.
So we can give good guidance to our chairman of the various committees. They should contact you?
Contact HCAM, myself, Jim Dellett, or Eric Dresser, who is our executive director.
Okay, so that would enable additional meetings to be broadcast.
yes.
Okay, so the only meeting room, I think, help me, Laura, the only one is the library, is not wired, as I understand it. Is that
The
right?
library?
The library conference room
Oh, you mean the library conference room cannot, yeah.
cannot be broadcast from. So if the library trustees wanted to have a meeting broadcast, they would have to come here. to
Or
do
it could be
It-
taped.
It could be
Yeah,
taped.
It could be taped, yes. If they wanted a live broadcast, then they'd have to come here at
The
the moment.
library does have live capability.
Mm-hmm.
We would have to bring our equipment in and
Same as,
run wires from their head end internally. We do not have wall outlets.
okay.
But there is, we do have an active line coming from the library.
So they could meet.
They could be.
They
That's
could,
good.
And have
we'd
live
have to run
broadcast.
wires.
Okay, well, there was some discussion about that, I know, so.
But perhaps things at the library don't move quite so fast that it needs to be live. Maybe it could be taped and it could be
Well,
broadcast the next day, and maybe not
well,
too much
and-
would be lost. I'm not sure.
No, and the other, they have a number of events that I
Oh,
think.
well, the events are another matter.
Yeah, that's another issue, so there may
Yeah.
be some of those that they'd let themselves would like to.
I think we have long fantasized about at least taping those events and putting them on the community access channel.
There's 16 town buildings that are wired, where we can go live from. The setback at any point in those buildings is that it's at the head end where it comes into the building. We just need to bring wires into the particular conference room you'd like to use. So if the library is an interest for being wired, the conference room, we can look into that and probably have that wired in the future.
Okay, very good, no.
But many of the programs take place in the Witten Room. Is that what you're talking about?
Well, that's one room, that's another room, but that's just down the hall from their main meeting room where they hold their
Yeah.
formal meetings. But, so there's two aspects, as you
Yeah.
point out. It's I'll forgive the expression, entertainment, and I won't say the entertainment, which is in which room, I won't say that. But, you know, the entertainment that normally gets held in the Whitney Room and then the normal conference room, so.
Well, that will be something that the cable committee will put on the agenda, because we, as I said, we do have capital money that the town has retained for things that the town would like in the future. And as I recall from wiring the other rooms in Town Hall, that it's not really prohibitively expensive to wire even both of the,
Correct, we can do that.
because then they can just
Relatively cheap.
hook into the head end at the library. So I'll put that on the agenda. We'll
That's
look
great.
into that.
Yeah, I
and,
think the thing to do would be to get in touch with Dennis Corcoran and see
Yeah.
what he thinks would be the right way to go. He would have the best view of
Okay.
what makes sense.
That's a great idea.
Yeah, okay.
We'll do that. I was
Yeah.
beginning to wonder what we were gonna do once we got this all transferred. Now I
We're gonna
know.
need boards.
I have ideas for you.
Yeah, but check with me, too.
Oh, I will. You've got some ideas, okay.
Okay, no, thank you, Mr. Chairman, I'm all set.
Selectman Burns.
Yes, so thank you very much for putting this together, that we had asked you to arrange this for us, and for my benefits of my colleagues, Sandy had called me prior to writing up a draft and saying, okay, now what exactly do the selectmen actually want in here? Since we had asked them to do this, and so we pondered quite a bit over how to have the right kind of control over what goes on the government channel. Since that is much touchier than on the community channel, you have to put on whatever anybody gives you. On the government channel, it's going out in the name of the town, and you have to have control over the content. And so that is what led, that conversation where we kind of went back and forth on that, led to this description in section 3 of what they will do on an automatic basis, and then if they, if something comes up that isn't on this list, but they think makes sense, they'll come to us and ask us, or possibly to the town administrator, to say, would this be a good thing for the government channel? So we'll be able to stay in touch with them about that, and
So
that
then-
was kind of the most complicated part of it to figure out.
So this agreement will get amended, is that what you suggest?
No, it's just if a particular thing, we couldn't imagine, we thought, well, what if there is something that's relevant to government, we'd like it on the government channel, we can't think of what it is to put it on this list. If it comes up, then they can come to the selectman's office and get approval to put something on the government channel that's not on this list.
That's
Or not.
section 3B. If you wanted to look, HCAM shall obtain the approval of the Board of Selectmen before cable casting programming which does not fall within the categories enumerated in section A above. So that just provides for other things at your approval.
So that's that part.
So I guess my point is, there's no vote to amend this particular agreement that's necessary?
No,
No?
we wrote it up that way so that there would be a little flexibility in case there was something we hadn't thought of that would be a good thing to put on the government channel.
And we put in section 5, communications, just to provide the selectmen and HCAM to work together informally and cooperatively with respect to any operating issues. And
Yes.
the Board of Selectmen will designate an individual. I presume that will be the administrator or assistant administrator. And HCAM will designate someone, probably the executive director, and those people will work out all of this in terms of programming.
So if there's disagreement, you have a means to an end, is that what you?
Right, when we hope that disagreements can all be handled by those people and worked out, and only if they can't, will it have to come back to you to
Okay.
mediate.
So there's a lot of flexibility in here. I think it's a good, since we don't really have a clear picture yet, it's a good way to begin.
Right, and the final copy, assuming that the selectmen approved this draft, I provided to Betty Foley, and that provides a May 1st, 2012 effective date. We like to put that into effect right now, and she has, I emailed to her an electronic copy that I presume she has something that can be signed.
They do have a copy that can be signed on the table, and they do have the final copy in their folders this evening.
Okay.
But to look at.
She's so efficient.
Wonderful. Jim can sign on
I'll sign,
behalf of
so-
HCAM, so
Okay, well, that's,
it's
Actually, I
ready
think
to
that
go
was
if you
Lori's
like
work,
it.
right?
It
Getting
was
that,
Lori's
yes.
work, absolutely.
thank you, Lori, again. So we would get the, if I may, we would have the committee chairman start to move forward to.
We'd like to have
that. We'd like to have
yeah.
that.
Yeah.
So that would be, Jim will rely on you to keep us informed, and the town administrator, as to, who is broadcasting their meetings on on a periodic or regular basis, so that would be good. That's the idea of getting this up and running. So-
Right, and it's ready to go if
So
they're,
that's
and then it's
terrific.
next week, Jim, right?
Yeah, and what we will be doing is sending you a schedule as we formalize and this transfer. You'll get a schedule weekly of what's going to be on the air so that you can see who's
Who's
utilizing.
good? That's good. Oh, love it.
And, once again, can you just go over the funding sources that you mentioned at the
The fun,
beginning?
oh, okay. Verizon and Comcast each provide quarterly to the town a check in the amount of 5.2% of the revenues which they get from Hingham customers. 4.2?
425.
4.2? I thought it was 5.2. No, 4.2? Okay, sorry. 4.2%.
I think, wasn't it?
It was originally 4.5, yeah.
Or it was higher until. it was
August
higher
of
from
2011.
Comcast until Verizon
Verizon
kicked
came
in.
on, and as
Right.
soon as Verizon came on.
Then they dropped
it
it,
dropped.
that's what I recall.
Right, and they both went down in August of 2011 to the 4.2 instead of the 4.5. So that comes in, and that's been amounting to quite a bit of money, actually. Somewhere I have here the amounts that, at the trial balances from Sue Nickerson. They amount to around $67,000 a quarter. And that's each, I believe, roughly.
I think that's the combined.
The combined amount, okay.
Is it
Yeah, we
67 the
have-
combined amount,
I
Uh,
or?
think 67 is the combined number.
67, well, it varies too. One quarter was 70,000, another quarter was 69,878, another
What we
quarter
got
it
there?
was 67,729, but,
Okay.
and this is for operating, and this is separate from the capital contributions that are made. Comcast finished making its capital contributions, and Verizon is still doing that.
Okay, and then the town's requirements for the government channel will be equal to 15% of what?
15% of the money that comes in quarterly, of the total amount.
Mr. Alexiadis, is there anything you'd like to add to this conversation?
I would just like to recognize for the board the work of Kate Richardson. It was mentioned, the IT personnel, and it was Kate Richardson, most of you know her, and she really did step into this and get it done.
She really did.
You know, adjusting her hours and here when she's not supposed to be, just to get it done. And so I will be sending her a letter for her personnel file, and I wanted to let the board know publicly here.
Yes, she's been fantastic. She's enabled it to happen.
Very nice. Anybody out there in the audience like to ask a question or make a comment on this?
Is the TV production class at the high school?
Yes.
Maybe you should repeat the question, since probably the people at home
Yeah,
couldn't
Carol
hear that.
asked if the TV production class was at the high school, and yes, it is. But my understanding is that HCAM is going to begin training of members of the community who want to be trained very soon. Jim will know more about that
Yeah.
than I do.
Once you're done with this part, I will give you a quick update of where we're at.
Okay, well, why don't we take this vote if everybody's comfortable with that?
Okay.
Somebody'd like to make a motion?
Or?
Or would you like to make the motion?
If I can find it. Oh, number 5, okay, right. I'll move to sign the supplemental grant agreement by and between the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Hingham, Massachusetts, and the Hingham Community Access and Media Incorporated as presented.
I'll second that.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good,
Okay,
congratulations.
the next item is, on the same lines, is getting the school committee meetings televised. And it has been a long struggle, and Kate Richardson has really torn her hair out over it, to try to figure out
Her hair is so nice.
how to put robotic cameras in the school committee room. It's a small room, and the equipment that we have, the portable equipment, just doesn't fit to televise the school committee meetings using that. And so the committee decided some time ago, I think almost a year ago, that we really needed to have robotic cameras in that room because the school committee meetings are really important to the community, and the school committee is very anxious to have their meetings televised. And so we have had people come in and companies come in and try to figure out the best configuration, and we finally got one. And then Kate got us 3 bids, and they are before you. And the committee met April 4th, and we went over each of those bids line by line and compared the equipment that was proposed and made sure that it was comparable, that it was what we need. And we are recommending to the selectmen that you approve the low bid of the 3, which is just under $19,000. And that is Boreal, B-O-R-E-A-L, company that we're recommending the bid be given to.
Mr. Rebuffo, any questions?
No, I just, no, I don't. I'm fine.
Selectman Burns.
Well, I'd just like to thank everybody who has worked so hard on this, and thank the school committee for stepping up and showing a good example to other committees in town about being anxious about having their meetings televised. And I agree that I think that it will really make a difference for people to be able to see what the school committee does. So I'm excited about this.
I see the chair of the school committee out there. Would you like to add anything to that?
Not chair.
Not the chair.
Oh, you're not the chair, I'm sorry. You're the chair of the building committee, I'm sorry.
Right.
My mistake. I apologize. Okay, is this, you need a vote from us on this
Yes.
particular? Somebody like to make a motion?
Okay, well, I'll move that we approve the expenditure of $18,615 to pay Boreal Media Technologies.
Oops, excuse me.
We have recommended in addition, a scanner for $155, which was an optional
Oh.
item. So it's $18,770 total.
Sorry, I'm just looking at the
18,770?
70s.
Yes.
All right. Okay, I got this right here. I just didn't read the second paragraph. Okay, $18,770, and I forgot where I was in the motion, but I move that we approve that expenditure for the equipment to broadcast from the school committee room.
We have a second?
A second?
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Now, the third request,
One-stop shopping.
right, well, this is to bring the educational channel further up into the 21st century. And we have provided you excuse me, a summary of the capital needs. Look at those first. The studio cameras are in pretty sad shape. They're outdated, and one of them doesn't even work at all. The way studio cameras work, and Katie Gallagher, who runs the Ed channel, is here, so she'll be able to answer any of your questions on this budget, which you put together with the help of the committee. So you have to buy all 3 cameras at once, because they work, while they're separate cameras, they work as a unit. And that's the biggest part of this. This is $19,500. She also needs some iPads for the, excuse me, the field production teams. Her classes now have 12 students, and there are only 6 computers in the high school studio area, so all of the students can't be working together. she's determined that if the other 6 students have iPads, they can actually do all that the people with the computers can do. So this is necessary, thank you, for the teaching aspect of the educational channel, the training of the students. And that's another $2,760. The iMac in the studio also needs to be updated, as many of you, as I'm certainly finding out with my personal computers get out of date really quickly, and the iMac in the studio is out of date, and so $1,400 is needed to buy a new one that will be up to date, have more memory, high-end graphics, a faster processor, all the good things that the new computers have. Now that the Ed Channel is producing more programming and hoping to produce more and more in the future, it needs a video file storage system, and that will enable it to store the video programming and hopefully exchange and work with HCAM to get HCAM programming that can be shown on the educational channel, but to store it somewhere instead of on tables around. And that's $1,300 for video file storage. And then last year, the Selectmen approved the purchase of 3 wireless microphones for the Ed Channel, and this request is for 3 additional ones so that all the wires, or at least the wires for the microphones, can be gotten off the floors. They're better microphones, and it's also a safety feature, and that's $1,500 for the other 3 microphones. And that comes up to $26,460 of capital money that we are recommending be paid out of the capital contributions that Verizon and Comcast have made to the town.
That amount again was, Sandy,
26,460. And if anybody has any questions, I have just told you everything I understand about this, so Katie is here to answer any additional questions that you may have on this.
Do you have any questions, Mr. Rebuffo?
I just have to follow Sandy very carefully, that's all. No, I'm okay with the amount and the need for the additional equipment, so.
Selectman Burns?
I'm good.
I'm all set as well. So you've been spared. Okay,
Did you discuss the supplies, or?
No, not yet.
Oh,
And
yeah.
I can do the rest of the educational
Yeah.
budget
Well-
all at the same time, then you
Yeah.
can just have one motion if you
Yeah,
want.
that's what we'd like.
There are also supplies, and those are the kinds of things that have to be replaced on a more frequent basis, like software upgrades and things like that. The biggest software upgrade and a big part of the operations budget is the Final Cut Pro, which is the software for making video. And Katie, and she can explain it if you want to, wants to upgrade to Final Cut Pro. They presently have a Final Cut Express, which is a sort of a shortcut, but the students really need to know how to use Final Cut Pro in order to do really a professional job. Final Cut Express is what people like I use and on our personal computers. So this is important, and the keyboard goes with it for training purposes. There's some fabric that needs to be replaced. The studio curtain is falling apart, some tatters. We need a studio curtain. And some tripods need some replacing. They too, tend to get used a lot by students and get wiggly and need to be replaced. And I'm not really sure what data video is. You'll have to ask Katie about that.
Those are headsets for the.
you have to come to the microphone, dear. I'm sorry, but you have to make it so the folks at home can hear you.
Sorry, I should have put that more clearly in there.
And for the record, if you could identify yourself for the folks at home.
Oh, right. Katie Gallagher, and I teach at Hingham High School.
Thank you.
And the data video set listed is for the camera people to use to talk to one another and to talk to the control room people. So the director and the assistant director are able to tell the camera people when to go for certain shots. And then we also have they call them a floor manager, who is there to coordinate everything and so needs to hear what's going on in the control room. So Eric Dresser and I worked on finding that system right there. It's very cost effective, actually.
Okay. Any questions from my colleagues?
No,
And we put in $430 for miscellaneous supplies, because you always need another cable, or you
Yeah.
need more DVDs, or whatever. So we're requesting a budget for the year of $7,500.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, and then there are two more items, which I think the selectmen have to approve. They've approved them before in the past. And one is a $2,000 stipend per year, and that's to cover the operation of the educational channel when school is not in session. And so that really needs to be a continuing approval every year. I don't know if we have to come back to you each year, but it would be handy if that could be a continuing thing. I don't know if you can do that. And the other is the funding of one TV production class, because the high school doesn't have enough money in its budget to fund as much as we feel is needed in order to train the people who are going to do the programming on the Ed channel, and then hopefully transition over to HCAM and do the programming on HCAM and help out with the government channel and all. But we need them trained, and if you start with the high school students, that's where you really get the most enthusiastic and full of energy people to do this.
So where is the money coming from
It's
this?
coming from the 15% that's remaining in
Okay,
the
so
cable
it's not-
operating funds. And I think the $45,000 I have in here is really more than it is. I think it's more in the neighborhood of $30,000, but it's something that depends upon things like not only salary, but benefits, and also it's hard to come down with an absolute specific figure. So what the selectmen have done in the past had simply been to approve the funding from cable funds of the TV production class in the high school.
Okay.
And that, I think, is all we need right now for the education
I'm going to vote we terminate this, because the longer you stay here, the more we're spending.
I'm at the end now for the Ed
Thank you,
channel.
Sandy. So let me summarize for the folks at home as I understand it. It's $26,460 for educational channel capital needs. It's $7,500 for the educational channel supplies for operations, and it's $2,000 in a stipend for coverage during the summer season. Is that right? And did I miss anything?
The funding of the TV
$45,000
production class.
Of course, I always miss the lunch.
The coverage is more than the summer. I'm sorry, I should know this.
I think so, yeah.
The coverage is more than over the summer. It's also after school, and sometimes an evening thing will come up. And it's to the bulletin board. It's to maintain all the programming throughout the year, actually.
So out of school hour expenses. $45,000 for
The cost of the TV
The
production
TV.
class.
the
Class.
TV production class. So there's, we need to put these in motion here, and so we're
Do
rewriting.
we have a total?
Well, no, it's four separate categories, and
All
I
right.
think we have to.
I'll make a motion with
Can I
all
ask a
four
question before
categories.
we
Yeah.
make motion?
Yeah, they're on page 3 of my memo, if they're listed, if that helps.
Does the cable
There it is.
venture, do they fall under the eyes of the audit committee?
No, I don't think so. The cable
Well, the
fund.
Cable Advisory Committee would, and all our funds that we get in hand do, but the HCAM does not. They have their own audit.
You have an auditor
So the
selected?
money is audited before it goes out, and they have to file financial statements every year. They have to file them with us. I think you have a fee in your, or a line in your budget too for an audit. And I thought you had talked about whether or not you were gonna actually use our auditor.
And we wanted to keep arm's length from the town, so we opted to go on the outside.
Okay, so you're a nonprofit, does that keep?
They're a separate nonprofit, and they, by their regulations and the agreement, they have to produce financial statements each year, and those financial statements need to be audited.
Okay, good enough.
And they're over the thresholds for, IRS and Attorney General requirements to file their documents, so they will be doing it on an annual basis.
Okay, good.
And when would you, if I may, when would that happen?
What, is your fiscal year end or a
Yes,
calendar year end?
that's the one thing we try to stay in line with.
So if
is
you're
your
a June
fiscal year.
30th year end, they have 4.5 months after the
Okay, so
fiscal
they'd
year
be,
closes.
so we'd be looking at apples and apples, okay, that's fine.
You'll have it in the fall. July, August, September, October. I think it's due November 15th, I believe, all their financials are due.
Same as ours, okay.
But the Ed channel amounts that we're asking for now will come out of the town's cable funds as opposed to HCAM's cable funds.
I see a person out there who'd like to make a comment or ask a question before we take this vote. Can you identify yourself for the record, sir?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Ray Estes, 92 Fort Hill Street, actually the secretary of the school committee.
Got that right. Okay.
Chairman,
Right
you're
to
chairman of the building committee.
I am.
That I got right.
But I'd just like to express my thanks to HCAM and to the Cable Advisory Committee on behalf of the school committee for the efforts in both of these endeavors. Also to thank Kate Richardson for all her work in getting the school committee conference room wired and the equipment available so that we can make our meetings more accessible to the public on a regular basis. It's certainly something that we've discussed at length over many months. And also like to recognize Katie Gallagher for her work. It's a terrific program at the high school that we support very much and actually look forward to extending the program at the new middle school when we can restore the TV studio there in the new building in 2 years' time. So thank you again very much. And also thanks to our cable providers for the sources of funds for both of these endeavors. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else out there like to make a comment or ask a question? Okay, so,
Can I make the motion? That way I'll be sure I'm
absolutely.
clear on, I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the following funding, which will come from cable funds for the educational channel. $26,500 in capital expenditures, $7,500 in supply for operations, $2,000 as a stipend for operating the channel when school is not in session, and $45,000 for funding of one TV production class.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And the last item, I think will be very quick because it's for the Board of
You're
Selectmen.
going home, Sandy.
That
No,
is,
this one's for us.
for
We
you.
want this one.
This is the last one on our
it's
wish
to
list.
purchase a LCD projector for the approximate cost of $1,500 for the Selectmen's meeting room so that you will be able to project both here in the room and on television any slides or pictures or whatever that people bring in or the Selectmen have.
Hopefully this will be one of the last times we'll have to use this.
That's, okay, done.
And with HCAM's help, Eric Dresser has been negotiating with the people who provide these, who sell these things, and he's identified one that he says is a good one, and it's more than, we understand it's more than $1,500, and so we ask you to approve that for yourselves.
Okay, great. So, is there any questions about that?
Nope.
Mr. Buffo, okay,
Fine,
anybody
thank-
out there in the audience? Okay, so somebody would like to make a motion?
Well, I made this request, so that they go and look for this thing, because I got tired of when we have to put something on the wall over there, we have to put a table in the middle of the room that eats up half the chairs. So on our big important meetings, when we really need to project something on the wall, only about 2/3 of the number of people can come in, as can on normal nights, and I thought there has to be a way to solve this. So I will move that we approve the expenditure of $1,500 for the purchase of an LCD projector for the Selectmen's meeting room.
I'll second that motion.
And I'll assume that Eric will be available to train our personnel on how to use it. Great.
You second?
Yes, I did.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Very good. You all set?
I just have, Eric couldn't be here tonight, he had a death in the family.
Oh, I'm sorry to hear
So,
that.
I just want to say that he's doing a great job. We've been open for 2 months. The new studio at 35 Pond Park, Suite 8. And we are open for business. We just got our first shipment of furniture in, and we're starting to build out. As a temporary space, because we're now ready to talk about the future of Bear Cove Park.
Okay, yes, and congratulations on town meeting voting to authorize the selectmen to negotiate a lease with you on the piece of land over by Bear Cove Park, and
Very excited.
looking forward to that.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Thank you for coming in and all for what you do for the town. Okay,
You want to do Ted?
okay, so we have a number of votes here as well to be discussed and taken. And I'll start with vote number 2, which, who would like to?
It's vote number 1.
Oh, vote.
It's a proclamation for National Boating Safety
no, you
Week, and
just told me
we have
about
our harbor master.
Oh.
And I'd like to bring him up so that he could give us a quick, very quick overview.
Quick.
I only have a couple pages.
Oh, I'm disappointed, Ken. Usually we get more of a treatise from you.
Ken, I want you to know I've ordered torpedo tubes for my boat, so.
His boat can dodge those.
Oh, that's right, I forgot it's
Don't
faster.
worry, his is too big to get into the harbor, so don't worry about it.
Okay.
Okay, whenever you're ready, Ken. Would you like to?
Well, actually,
Bless you guys.
you have a proclamation to read first, and then Ken is going to outline a couple of things he's going to be doing on that day.
Okay. Would Selectman Burns like to read this?
Of course, whereas on average, 700 people die each year in boating-related accidents in the United States, and approximately 70% of these fatalities are caused by drowning, and whereas the vast majority of these accidents are caused by human error or poor judgment and not by the boat, equipment, or environmental factors, and whereas a significant number of boaters who lose their lives by drowning each year would be alive today had they worn their life jackets, and whereas today's life jackets are more comfortable, more attractive, and more wearable than styles of years past, and deserve a fresh look by today's boating public, now therefore, we, the Board of Selectmen of the Town of Hingham, do hereby support the goals of the North American Safe Boating Campaign and proclaim May 19th to the 25th, 2012 as National Safe Boating Week in Hingham, at the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating. And we urge all those who boat to take the Wear It South Shore pledge to wear a life jacket to ensure that everyone on board wears a life jacket and to practice safe boating habits.
Thank you for that. Yeah,
I just wanted to thank the Board of Selectmen for taking the proclamation for this National Safe Boating Week. The community takes safe boating seriously, as well as our department. This Safe Boating Week is important. It's the beginning of the season, and we're going to be doing a couple things to help people as they embark on the waters this summer to do it safely. We're working with Coast Guard Auxiliary to offer on the 19th inspections of their boats to make sure that they have all the required safety equipment, as well as some education on the Paddle Smart program that the Coast Guard Auxiliary offers, which will allow people to take onto their paddle boats onto the water in a safe fashion. Although this is a one-week event, my office, the Harbor Master's office, takes safe boating year-round very seriously. It's important for the community and people that come into our community. Just to give you an example, tonight's the second night of one of our safe boating courses. We do 2 to 3 safe boating courses for the public free of charge every year, and we're in the second night of our first one for this season. I just wanted to thank the board for their support.
very good. Thank you. Is there anything you'd like to make a comment on, Mr. Robucco?
No, thank you. Just encourage people to participate in that offer for those classes, because always friendly reminders are you've got to keep current on that.
Yeah, we've had classes with enrollments upwards of 70 people. Right now we have a smaller class of about 30. But
Good.
You also want to mention that the Coast Guard will be available for inspections, too? We talked about that?
Yeah, exactly. The Coast Guard will be there with us for these vessel safety checks.
Selectman Burns, anything?
No, I'm very happy about this.
Very good. Well, then, thank you very much. I'm sorry.
Probably you'll give us more information. Will be more information be forthcoming on the
Yes.
19th? So just have people can watch the journal for more information?
Absolutely. Watch
Okay.
the journal.
So
That's
it's
a great.
on May 19th.
Yes. Yep.
Okay, very good. Thank you, Ken.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming in.
Okay, make a motion
Uh,
that we proclaim May 19th through the 25th, 2012 as National Safe Boating Week and the start of the year-round effort to promote safe boating.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, once
Thank
again, sorry.
Thank you.
Our next vote is the approval of a potential bonus for Mr. Alexiadis. So, we had discussions, was it last week, was it?
Yeah. Seems like a long time ago, but
Yeah.
yes, it was last week.
Last week with regards to Mr. Alexiadis's bonus in accordance with paragraph 4 of the town's employment agreement with him. And we base this on his evaluation of things that he has done outside of what we would normally ask of our town administrator. And there were many examples of such efforts, and also a number of success stories that go with it. So I myself am very pleased with Mr. Alexiadis's performance as our new town administrator. I believe that the examples he has given us to look at this bonus in a positive way is something that I feel is only right for the effort that he puts in on and beyond the call of duty as his role as a town administrator, and I would like to hopefully get my colleagues' support in that effort, in that vote as well.
Agreed. Well said.
Yes, well said.
Well said, John.
Just for the public, the contract of the town administrator contains a base salary and a supplemental salary that he's only entitled to based on performance. And that is the section that we're talking about right now. And to remind everybody, when we did the review last week, we had 7 department heads and a citizen who works closely with the town administrator review his performance, and 93% of the comments stated that he was either strong or superlative in the 48 areas that we asked them to rate him on. And so that is, and I felt the same way, so that is the basis underneath which we do this, and then the town administrator presented us with the projects that he worked on that were really above and beyond what our expectations were. And I felt that it merited that he receive his complete salary this year. So should I make a motion?
Would you like to add anything?
No, I
Mr.
just think
Bucko?
that, and Laura said I think I just amend that comment to we, because it was all 3 of us felt the same way, and that as some of you know, we don't always agree on everything, but this is one thing we very strongly agreed on, and I'm quite happy to support Laura's comments in their entirety. So,
And maybe what I'd like to do is entertain a motion and take a vote, and then have Mr. Alexiadis, if he wants to comment, because other than that, I don't want him to turn this down.
okay, I'll make a motion that we approve paying Theodore C. Alexiadis $15,000 in accordance with paragraph 4 of the town's employment agreement with Mr. Alexiadis in consideration of the Board of Selectmen's evaluation of the town administrator's extraordinary performance during the last 12 months.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Now, is there something you'd like to?
I'd just like to thank the board for their confidence and thank all the department heads and committee members that worked so well with me all year long.
Very good. Well, thank you, Ted.
Do we have to order there's an expression, when I lived in England, they used to say, raising the lintel. The lintel is the door jamb at the top. And they used to say, if you got too much praise, we'd have to raise the lintel. So I know we don't have to do that in your case, Ted. We'll keep you to size.
Well deserved.
Well deserved. Very happy.
Okay, we have a possible vote 3 for
Okay,
a,
I'll move to approve the issuance of a special one-day all-alcoholic beverages liquor license to Plymouth River School PTO, Cara Teresa Salem, for Saturday, May 5th, 2012, from 6 p.m. to 11 p.m. for a spring fundraiser at the Conservatory Function Room, 1 Conservatory Drive.
Second.
any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And we have a request to appoint a interim building commissioner for our regular building commissioner has resigned.
Correct.
Take another position.
As you know, our current building inspector, Mark Grillis, is leaving us. His last day is tomorrow, and we've had most of our goodbyes. And we need an interim. Katie Lacey, Director of Community Planning, met with a few folks, discussed it with me. My recommendation to you, in concurrence with her, is that Robert Egan be appointed the interim building inspector. We are in the process of interviewing for the permanent, and we have quite a few good applications. Interviews will start next week.
Okay.
Questions or comments?
No, I just would like to express the board's best wishes for Mark's continued success, and we will miss him. But
I'll be sending him a letter to that effect.
great.
Thank you.
And I'll echo that as well. He's done a great job down there.
He has, he's done a terrific job. I'll move to appoint Robert Egan, the interim building commissioner.
Second.
Any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
Okay, and we have a request for a deed from trust.
This is
something
a
you could
this is a gift.
help us with?
This is the board needs to accept, if it so desires, a gift of conservation land on 36 Ship Street.
Look where it is.
Oh, okay.
This is a crucial piece of property. This is
And it's been
amazing.
maintained as such. This is formalizing the gift.
Maybe we could show, it's at 36 Ship Street, and
I-
it's adjacent to the Governor Long Reservation,
I've
and
got a
right on
copy.
3A, corner of Ship Street and 3A, so it adds to that reservation.
Bob, can you see it? Yeah.
So it's a wonderful
So-
gift.
So would somebody like to make a motion?
Pursuant to Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 40, Section 8C, to approve the acceptance of the deed from Susan E. Nichols and Robert B. Johnson, trustees of the Johnson Hingham Realty Trust, to the town of Hingham, acting by and through the Hingham Conservation Commission, for the gift of a parcel of land at the junction of Otis Street and Ship Street, as more fully described and as referred to as Lot D of the deed, and to sign the accompanying approval of acceptance in IRS Form 8283.
Second. Now, they may not, I don't know if they want to, if the Nichols, well, I'm just going to say it, this appraisal appraises this piece of land at $755,000. That's what this gift is worth. So, I'll just saying.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
And our last vote is to sign a side letter of agreement among the town of Hingham and the Hingham Fire Department. Ted, would you like to?
So as you know, the town has reached an agreement with the IAFF Local 2398 professional firefighters. And this is a side letter. You don't have the full agreement ready for you, but this one side letter deals with the ability of our fire personnel to go to the Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts Association, the statewide organization, for events. We have a firefighter that is on the board at the state level, and occasionally they'll need activities where they'll need to pull them away. So, for example, the fires that we had horrible fires we had in Worcester a decade or so ago, where a number of firemen lost their lives. The PFFM goes to those communities and is there for support. And what they'll do is they'll bring their executive board there. So one of our firefighters will be going to those type functions and others throughout the state. The fire department will be reimbursed for this, but we have to allow them to go, without loss of pay. And that was the agreement we reached in negotiations. We're limiting it to 2 shifts per calendar month where that could occur. And the chief was in concurrence with this.
Good. Any questions or comment? Any colleagues? Anybody like to make a motion?
I'll move to sign a side letter of agreement among the Town of Hingham, Hingham Fire Department, Local 2398, IAFF, and Professional Firefighters of Massachusetts as presented.
I'll second that motion.
Well, any further discussion? Hearing none, all those in favor?
Aye.
So I believe that concludes our agenda this evening, with the exception of the selectmen's reports, correct?
Yes.
If I may,
Mr. Rebuffa.
Thank you. First of all, I want to thank everybody for coming to town meeting and remind them that next Monday night at 7 o'clock will be the third night of a meeting, and hope your calendars are cleared. We do have a number of articles that require the participation of the town. More specifically, I personally would like to thank the town meeting for their support on the warrant article concerning the Aquarian Water Company. And in that regard, I want you to know that yesterday morning at 8:30, I received a call from the president of Aquarian, Charles Ferlot, pledging his continued support to work with us on the agreement, which I accepted. And their attorney also called our counsel, Kerry Ryan, to express the same. So progress has begun. So I just wanted to make that available to everyone. So thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you. Selectman Burns.
The Hingham Affordable Housing Trust met last night and asked me to update the Board of Selectmen on the 80 Beale Street project. As you recall, the trust sought and was granted a 40B permit for developing 8 units of housing on Beale Street, on the parcel that the trust owns. We've issued an RFP for a developer to develop in accordance with that permit, and we have had quite a bit of interest. There may not be, they may not all respond. Some of the responses we're getting are because we have in our plan, we have told the developers that we wish to limit the size of the market rate units to 1,200 square feet. Because the goal was, even though only 2 of the units technically belong on, well, they will go on the housing inventory, the other 6 units are intended to be entry-level housing for Hingham, a kind of a product that we don't have in Hingham that's getting torn down. And so we felt very strongly that we did not want these other units, the market rate units, ballooning up in size. Of course, developers would prefer to build larger houses, because in Hingham you can sell larger houses. So it's going to be a balancing act to see what people are able to come up with in terms of financials to make it work. There's a possibility that it won't work, and we might have to go up from, I don't know, 1,200 square feet to 1,300 square feet or something like that. But I feel confident that I hope that we'll get some things from this first round of RFP. But one thing that it says is nobody's ever seen a request like this. I mean, nobody sees people wanting you to build market rate units at 1,200 square feet in a town like Hingham. So they're having a little trouble wrapping their minds around it. But I'm hopeful that we will get some good responses. And the responses are to be in on May 4th. The trust will be evaluating them on May 16th. And we are to choose a developer by June 4th. That's the current schedule, assuming there is someone who comes up with something that seems appropriate. If not, we can always go back to square one rearrange what we're doing. So around about that time, early June, once we've picked a developer, according to the bylaw that set up the trust, the trust will bring this proposal to the Board of Selectmen because it requires the board's approval to go forward anytime that the trust either acquires or sells property. So sometime around then, we will be bringing the chosen applicant to you for review, and I think the finance director also is required by the terms of the bylaw to review the financial aspect of it. So, if you have any questions, I'm here. I just wanted to let you know that was coming down the pike.
Thank you.
I'd also like to thank everybody who attended town meeting this year. We got a lot done. We still have yet more to do, so I'd like to remind you, we need a quorum of 300 in order to continue on to do the town's business. But I'd also like to personally extend my thanks to everybody who voted in favor of that new bridge at the harbor. I think that is going to be key to getting people more involved in the harbor in a way that will benefit everyone. I think it's a great first step improvement that the town is going to be really happy that they will see this improvement. Also, I'd like to remind everybody there is an election this Saturday, and there's a lot of people who have put their names in for consideration, and I urge you all to go out and vote. So with that, if there's nothing else, I would like to call for adjournment.
I'll make a motion, we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
And